The ECONO Sprint feature event, we pick up on it halfway through, and the student, Gus Wasson, is out in front, showing the teacher, Roger McLean, that he has learned his lessons. Running third, it's Tim Kern, followed by Barney Wessler in the 3W car. And Rick Doherty is running in fifth spot in car number 7. McLean trying desperately to close the ground between him and Gus Wasson. He taught him too good. Oh, Wasson goes high. That's a lesson you got to learn. Roger slides in the lead, but Wasson back around Roger down the straightaway. You taught him too good, Rod. Your race leader is Gus Wasson. He's standing on the gas and now working himself around some slower traffic. Here comes Roger McLean. Again, into the lead just momentarily, and Wasson back around him down the straightaway. And Roger back into the lead through turn number 2. Your new race leader. It looks like he's finally got a good handle on that lead. It's Roger McLean. Up to third place, it's Rick Doherty in car number 7. Now Wasson and Doherty side by side as Rick moves into second spot down the backstretch. Rick running that low lining in tonight here around Limaland Speedway. He seems to do quite well in the low groove. McLean out in front in first place. Doherty does a slide job and moves into the lead around Roger McLean. Your new race leader is Rick Doherty. A bit of a slide job there for Rick as he slid up and tapped the wheels on Roger coming through the fourth turn. Hanging on to a win, it's Rick Doherty in car number 7 as he adds another Limaland feature victory, making it 2 for the year to his total. Gus Wasson also has 2 wins. John Hawk has a win. Tim Kern in the 03 car has a win from May 3rd through June 21st. Now the bomber highlights. The green flag waves on the bomber feature. John Flippo from Versailles, Ohio. He works on this car every week at a Bullock ride, so we know he's got the best working conditions. And Jerry Butler is trying to get it on. Gross is trying to get around him in the 5 car. Butler's running in third spot. Your race leader is John Flippo, 52. But there's 3 cars up there vying for that spot as Jerry Butler, that fast rookie, has now moved into second spot. Here comes Gross on the inside. Gross moves into the lead. 3 cars side by side, run a race for the Bombers. Flippo now back into the lead down the backstretch. Bill Gross on the bottom trying to hold all that line, and he does move back into the lead. Jerry Butler in the 1X car. By the halfway mark, the leader is Bob Doherty. We had a change in events on this particular night of racing. A couple of restarts, and the leaders fell back in the back. Doherty out in front, setting the pace now. Bob Doherty in the bomber division. Into the wall, he taps Flippo, but they keep going. And on to a win went Doherty, Bob Doherty, in the 21D car. As he finished ahead of Jim Beckel in the 7 car. John Flippo finished 3rd, 52. Mark Heron was 4th in the 8 car, followed by John Sanford in car number 28. Feature wins for the Bombers. Roger Underford had 2 wins through this date. Wayne Moffitt Jr. in the 40 car had a win, followed by Jerry Butler, Filippo, and Bob Doherty, all picking up 1 win since the first race back in May. Next up will be Limaland highlights from June 28th. The Bombers, the Mini Sprints, and the ECONOs at Limaland. Now we pick up on highlights of the feature race here for the mini sprints. June the 28th, the green flag waves. Paul Teichler into the move. No, that's Andy Shammo, 4S car. He sets the pace. Going down the backstretch, keep your eyes on Tracy Hoover in the 9 car. He gets bumped, and over he goes. A tremendous flip. Both cars flip. He actually got into Jim Bupp's car. Watch his slow motion replay. You can see Tracy slid into Bupp, causing both of them to bounce up in the air. Bupp's car goes sideways and then does a rollover while Tracy is doing Sparrows, nose-overs, and all kind of spectacular crashes. That thing flying out of his car is his automatic screen for his helmet, his visor screens. And Tracy Hoover takes quite a flip at Limaland Speedway in the number 9 car. Fortunately, both drivers were not injured. They were able to get out of the car. The track was cleared, and the race was restarted. On the restart for the mini sprints, Andy Shammo out in front. He took the lead and he held it all the way to the checkered flag, finishing ahead of Paul Tessler, Frankie Lucchini, Jerry Embody, and Tim Coleman. Next up is the ECONO sprint feature. Way back in the back, you see Roger McLean in that 44 car. We're at the halfway mark in the race. All-star regular Kevin Huntley has been setting a blistering pace out in front and in the lead. He's subbing for Travis Miller, the regular driver of this car. Kevin also works with Marshall Campbell, drives one of Marshall's all-star cars. He was trying to help Travis figure out what was wrong with the car. It seemed that occasionally it was having some handling problems. Doesn't look like it's having any tonight, as Kevin, the pup Huntley, is out in front, working his way through the lap traffic, doing a great job. Then suddenly he cuts low, tries to make an inside move, and goes over the embankment, and upside down goes the 17M car, and some heavy damage on Travis Miller's car as Kevin Huntley, in a substitute position, takes it for a ride tonight at Limaland. Marshall said later that a brake did lock up on that car, causing him to pull down on the inside. Kind of hard to tell from our vantage point, but the pup is a top sprint car driver, and the car is definitely out of the action for tonight's racing events. The track was clear, though. The race restarted one final time. As Kevin Huntley is okay, he's crawling out of the car. A lot of work for the Miller team to get back in competition. On the restart now, it's Gus Wasson and the teacher, the rookie and the teacher, McLean and Wasson. They've been putting on good racing events all year long. It looks like Wasson's trying to hang on to that lead ahead of Roger McLean. Lap after lap, it's Gus Wasson out in front. McLean about 6 car lengths behind him in second spot, trying to make up the distance. Rick Doherty in third spot, now closing in on Roger McLean. He makes a move into second spot down the backstretch. Wasson out in front. Doherty's been winning features here. Usually runs on the bottom. It's Gus Wasson, your race leader. Doherty running in second, car number 7 as we're coming down for the white flag. Roger McLean in third spot. And the checkered flag waves for young Gus Wasson. Doherty was second. McLean finishing in third spot. And Dave Rice was fourth, followed by the 28 car of Chris Nagy. Gus Wasson definitely doing a great job of driving the ECONO sprints, as he's been up in the top 5 every night. Now it's July the 5th. This is the big 4th of July celebration race here at Limaland Speedway. A good crowd here at Limaland Speedway with this beautiful night of racing. The track was decorated with the little American flags, and at this time we were still in the Gulf War was just wrapping up. Five laps to go in the feature event. The race leader is Tony Heath in the 96 car. In the second spot, it's Greg Cook in the K11 car, followed by Brad Emmer and Randy Heron. Stretching out his lead, though, it's Tony Heath, car number 96, heading for what would be one of his first feature wins here at Limaland Speedway. There's the white flag. Closing the gap, it's Greg Cook in the K11 car. Side by side down the straightaway, and Cook picks up a victory. The bomber feature went to Greg Cook, K11. Following him was Tony Heath, Brad Emmer, Randy Heron, Bob Ralston, and Larry Rogers. Summary for the Bombers, July the 5th at Limaland. Next up, it's the mini sprint feature event. The green flag waves. Frankie Lucchini in a 52 car out in front alongside Tim Allison made his move into the lead down the backstretch. But here comes Lucchini, a good move on the bottom. Frankie Lucchini trying to make that move into first spot. Allison hangs on the lead. Lucchini running in second. There goes Frank Lucchini in the second spot. Tom Rhodes is running in third in the 20 car. And Rhodes makes his move now back around Lucchini. Some great racing up in the front of this mini sprint feature tonight here at Limaland Speedway. Side by side now for the lead. It's Timmy Allison in 52. Frankie Lucchini side by side. And Lucchini notices ahead coming out of the fourth turn. Your new race leader, it's Frank Lucchini. Frank, a very popular driver here at Limaland Speedway. He's been running a couple of years now and always does quite well running the mini sprints. There's been some rumors that he may be moving up into the big time and get himself a ride in a full-size ECONO sprint. Frank Lucchini, I know he does like the race, and he would definitely like it. Kelly McCann, we got a crash down the backstretch. Kelly McCann, the 21 car, got into trouble and he's flipping on the backstretch. The driver is okay as we watch that flip in slow motion. 6 laps to go on this restart, and Frank Lucchini will have to hold off the efforts of Tim Allison and Rhodes to pick up this feature win tonight. There's the checkered flag, and coming down for the victory, well, this is the white flag, coming down for the victory. It looks like Frank Lucchini is going to pick up a victory tonight here at Limaland Speedway in the 52 mini sprint. With the closing of Ada Speedway this summer, the mini sprints are running here at Limaland and a few other tracks. Tim Allison was second, Matthew Alloway was third, followed by Dick Vermillion and Tom Rhodes. Here's a close look at Frank Lucchini. I was saying there's only a few tracks now still running the mini sprints, and there's a possibility that they may not be competing at Limaland for 1992 due to the size of the field. A lot of the owners have dropped out of this event. It's become pretty expensive to compete and be a winner, and we'd hate to see them go, but they may not be racing at Limaland in 1992. As we look now at Frankie Lucchini, and that might be even more reason why Frankie is talking about moving into the full-size sprint car division.
I'm on third.
Here he is, Frank Lucchini, the winner of the mini sprint division. 5 laps to go of the feature event. Barney Craig out in front in the 71 car. Working his way around some of the slower traffic. In seconds, Ace Underford in the 11 car as Barney Craig goes on and picks up a victory on the July the 5th Bomber race. Roger Helming was third in the 17 car. Jerry Hayden finished fourth in 73X, and Randy Heron was fifth. Barney Craig, his wife did a good job winning that powder puff driving in the same wheel a few weeks ago. I bet she got her lessons from Barney.
Great run for last week's feature winner. Jerry Hayden in the 73X was a fourth place finisher. Roger Helming at car 17 finishing third. Ace Underford.
Barney gets his helmet off and comes down ready for the picture taking ceremony with track photographer Larry Reese. He'll crawl out so we can get a good look at him. There's your feature winner of the Bomber Division, Barney Craig. Now we're looking at the highlights of the full-size ECONO sprints at the halfway mark. We got a race going between Dale Cessna in the 63 car and Rick Doherty in car number 7. They've had a battle going now for the last 5 laps, side by side, wheel to wheel, switching the lead almost every lap, and great racing between these two top ECONO sprint drivers. Now moving into a strong lead, it looks like it's Rick Doherty, car number 7. And Rick will be heading down for his third ECONO sprint feature of the 1991 racing season here at Limaland Speedway. Rick Doherty, Dale Cessna, Tim Kern, Mike Albright, and Chris Nagy. You may have noticed the 44 car has been absent in the last few films we've been showing. We're going to roll back to May the 31st. Somehow we slipped past that date, and this had an awful lot to do with With the future retirement of our former track champion, Roger McLean, we'll be showing you some highlights of the May 31st show coming up here very shortly. As Rick Doherty again crawls out, Hank Glover and Kent's on his crew. Here's Speed Shop, one of the sponsors, Sparks Tire and Automotive Incorporated, also up on the wing. And Rick Doherty, very top driver. Now the whole family coming out there to cheer him on, Rick's wife and his kids. A couple other young race drivers, looks like, growing up there in the Doherty family. A wave, his third win of the year for Rick Doherty out of Findlay, Ohio. And it's time to pose for the crew, Rick Doherty.
We've got a big show tomorrow night coming up.
One of the fans in the stands here, that's Earl Baldus, the Earl of Eldora. He's a promoter of Eldora, the owner of Limaland Speedway, and he occasionally likes to come down here when you don't have too much work at Eldora and sit back and enjoy the races, take in some good quarter-mile racing. A little slower pace than what he has down at Limaland Speedway, and sitting there is Tim, one of the employees that works with Earl. It looks like we got another powder puff coming up here.
Eldora Speedway. Also, those of you who have watched the Eldora stock cars, the street stocks over the years.
Powder puff race. Some of the girls competing tonight. We got Kelly Craig, Chris Emmel. Not sure who all the girls are in tonight's race. They didn't always get their names down there like they should. But the Bomber Powder Puff for young ladies is taking place. Race leaders Kelly Craig. And Kelly Craig, who is getting it down pretty pat now. Looks like she might be heading for her second victory here at Limaland. Another win for Kelly Craig. Sort of reminiscent of the 50s when a young driver named Dorothy Shorty Clum was winning them pretty regular out here. And Stephanie presents the trophy to Kelly. Here's a story about Roger McLean.
Retired. He's tired of retiring.
May 31st, Roger says he was going to retire. He's finally going to make up his mind to retire. And this had an awful lot to do with it this night. May 31st show, Roger was in good form. His car was ready to race, and he was set to go out there and show those youngsters he could still hang in there. He makes a good move in this heat race as he's running behind Dussel and Wessler. He drops to the bottom on the inside, picks up a good bike coming out of the fourth turn and moves into the lead on the second lap of this heat race. Your new race leader was Roger McLean, car number 44. He holds off all the youngsters and goes on to pick up a victory in this fast heat race for the ECONO sprints on the 31st of May. Heat race winner for this event was Roger McLean. You may say, oh, why would a guy want to retire? He's still in top form. And Roger was in top form all the way through his racing, right to the last race. But coming up for the feature event, he has one of those bone-jarring accidents that suddenly made him realize that he was old enough to know better and too young to resist, and maybe it was time to just sell Cadillacs and watch these young guys do it. The crowd's ready. The cars are ready for the start of the feature event. McLean, who starts in inside row 2, third position. Gus Watson is sitting right behind him. Rick Doherty also running back there in the third row. George Dussel brings him around turn 4. The green flag waves. The race is underway. Roger makes a good move up into second spot. Down the backstretch, Roger makes a move into the lead, and one of the other cars, Tim Dussel, gets into the sprints, front end damage, that brings out the yellow flag and a restart. Again, since no laps were completed, double foul restart. Roger makes a move on the outside, gets bumped, and upside down he goes in a bone-jarring crash. And that was a lot worse than it looked because Roger was bouncing pretty hard on that track. Just taps that car right behind him there. When he makes his move, you see his car's bicycling now. He couldn't get it back down, and over he goes. It's a pretty heavy impact for Roger McLean as his car suffers some pretty heavy damage, and Roger gets banged around pretty hard inside that cockpit. And even though he has the best safety equipment that you can put into a sprint car, it still bangs your body and stretches it, and he's going to be sore for quite a few weeks. And long enough for him to realize that maybe it's best to quit while he's still able to get around in good shape. He was shaken up, not seriously injured, but Roger McLean learned a good lesson on this night. He'd missed 5 weeks of racing, but he would come back and race again. He wasn't going to quit with the last memory being an upside-down tumble. The feature race continued, and Gus Wasson made his move into the lead, showing his teacher Roger McLean that he had picked up a lot of pointers, and he was ready to carry on the battle of the sprint car. The student on the move eventually picks up the feature win here at Limaland. Racing ahead of Rick Doherty, Barney Rustler, Tim Bowen, and George Russell. Next up will be the mini sprint feature event. We'll get one more close look at Gus Wasson as he picks up another feature win here at Limaland Speedway.
Excellent driving. Excellent driving.
Here's a close look at Gus Wasson as he picks up that feature win and gets the cheers from the crowd. The mini sprint feature went to Paul Tesler in the 4 car as Paul racked up another win here, doing a great job driving the mini sprints at Limaland Motor Speedway. And now the bomber feature out on the track. Again, some good, exciting racing always takes place when you put these bombers out there, and they put on a great show. Randy Herring in the 45 junior car, who's in the lead. Jerry Butler running in second spot. Wayne Moffitt in the 40 car makes his move up into third. The race leader, Randy Herring, some new wheels, I believe, about this time here. At least he changed the paint. A little problem there. Some parts flying off the cars and a little banging down the backstretch. But here comes the checkered flag on May 31st. The feature winner was Randy Herring. Now here's a close look at Randy. One driver we haven't featured yet as he crawls happily out of the car, big smile on his face, and a feature win under his belt. Here's a close look at the feature winner, Randy Herring.
Thank you.
And he was happy. Next up, the All-Star Circuit of Champions. It's June 1st, 1991, and the All-Star Circuit of Champions are visiting Limaland Speedway for the second time in history. The All-Star Paraded Champions, 4 abreast, and the car count was a little low tonight. About 16 cars in attendance. They've been damaging cars pretty heavily in the All-Star Series. All the guys were regrouping, but we got some real talent here. Racing underway. Moving very quick in the lead, it's Kelly Kinzer driving Jerry Kinzer's car. That's Kelly's dad. And Kelly stands on the gas and does a fantastic job of working himself through the traffic on the quarter-mile track here at Limaland and picked up a feature victory. Kevin Huntley trying to catch him, coming up very quickly, that 1M car. There's a look at the winner, Kelly Kinzer, for the All-Stars, June 1st. Part of that famous Indiana Kinzer clan, cousin to Steve and cousin to Bob and all the other Kinzer boys there, Kelly Kinzer. Former All-Star champion and still a top competitor in the sprint cars, especially on the dirt quarter miles. Here's some other highlights from Limaland Speedway, July the 26th. I want to pick up on some of the action and let you watch some of the racing highlights. Roger McLean's now back in action. Still thinking about retiring, but he decided to come back and give her a few more trips around the racetrack, just so he wouldn't retire with any bad memories. Tim Allison,
I hope so.
he drives the mini sprint car number 11, and Howie Glover is his number 1 wrench. Here's a close-up look of Tim in action. We pick up on some of the action highlights here at Limaland Speedway, the mini feature event. One again, the Frankie Lucchini, car number 52. Another big victory, and rumor was all through the pits that Frankie was soon going to be crawling into a sprint car, and it looked very much like it might be the 44 car. One of his sponsors had decided it was time to make a move, and Roger's car was for sale. So the word wasn't officially given yet, but Dick Jenkins, who was sponsoring the mini sprint efforts of Frank Lucchini, had just acquired the 44 sprint car, and Frank next week will be in the big full-size sprint car.
Hey, Frankie, nice smile.
And Frank couldn't be any happier.
Come on out, Frankie. Company wanted to announce that Dick Jenkins has bought Roger McLean's car, and Frankie will be driving it next week.
Hey, that'd be interesting.
There it is. Dick Jenkins has bought Roger McLean's car, and Frankie will be driving it next week. So next week will be the debut for the sprint cars for Frank Lucchini. There's Dick Jenkins and the entire crew here. And next week it'll be a full-size sprint car for Frank Lucchini. He says, I'm ready. Pick up on the action for the Bombers on this July evening. They had lots of action. John Flippo picks up that's Eric Austin in the 1A car, picks up a victory in the B main. And here's the ECONO Sprint feature. Roger McLean on the pole. Back there in third row, it's the 4G car of Gus Wasson. McLean moves into the lead. This will be Roger's last feature event. He'd sure like to go out with that checkered flag. Wasson has moved into second spot, though. He's started to close in rapidly on his teacher. Travis Miller is running in third spot. As the teacher and the student had that one more go at it here at Limaland Speedway. Lap after lap, side by side, it's McLean and Wasson in some great wheel-to-wheel exhibits to all the Limaland race car fans. Now Wasson makes his move as they work around some slower traffic. He drops low and into the lead. Your new race leader is Gus Wasson. And he goes on to pick up a feature victory. Roger McLean hangs in and finishes in third spot behind Rick Doherty. Here he is, Gus Wasson. The student has now taken control, and he is the man to beat at Limaland. And now a little announcement from Roger to the fans about his retirement plans. We think you might be interested.
Everybody has to quit playing, and tonight it shows a fellow by the name of Gus Wasson, my student, you might say. 2 years ago, I took him on as a student on ECONO sprints. He's taught the teacher how to drive. So it's time for the old man to go home and watch these kids have fun and play. And, but it's been a lot of fun. I've done it for 21 years, and I'll miss it. But I'm really going to quit this time.
Can you come?
Yeah, he's going to come up.
Can you come?
He's going to come up. Go on up, Roger.
If you would, and I mean everybody, if you would please just help me show appreciation for 21 years from all of us. If you want to stand, I don't think that is being too uncommon. Thank you.
Roger McLean retires from racing. Did you really retire, Roger? You just tell us. It's now Bomber feature time, and action all over the field. Wheels and axles are flying down the straightaway. Bobby Keyser in that 41 car. And Jerry Butler again out in front in that 1X car. Butler has been hot this summer. And he picks up a feature victory. Jerry Butler, the winner. They're setting up for the picture-taking ceremony as Turn 4 Hobbies was a sponsor of the trophy tonight. There's a good shot of Jerry and the owners of Turn 4. As we continue to cover the racing action highlights at Limaland Speedway. The All-Stars came back on July the 27th, a 4-abreast parade lap. A beautiful All-Stars, a full field tonight as we have 20 cars picking up the green flag. The starter looks them over. They'll go back into a 2-abreast formation, and the green flag comes out on some powerful, full-blown sprint car racing action here at Limaland Motor Speedway, as these cars are running in the low 11.5 and 12-second laps around Limaland. side by side. Moving into the lead, it's the 78 car, Todd Kane. Remember, Todd won the CRA race here. The last time he ran here without a wing. Now he's got a wing on top, and he's got a lot of competition as Frankie Kerr and Rick Hood. Hood's on the move also, as this race is full of all kinds of good racing, some good action, and other things to come later. That driver was not injured. The track was cleared. The race was restarted. But not until we have little fisticuffs. It seems Terry Shepard and Todd Kane disagreed about something, and so they're going to show drivers how you can do it in the dirt besides using your race car. The winner was Rick Hood from Memphis, Tennessee. Rick, a new daddy with a cute little baby daughter, and we're going to see her in just a minute as Rick Hood picks up a feature victory for the All-Star Circuit Champion at Limaland Speedway. There's Rick and his new daughter and his wife. And she came down to give Daddy a little kiss for winning that big race. Rick Hood. Action highlights from August the 2nd. Wow, what a day of action. And Donnie O'Connor's son, Shane, was having his problem. They have the E-Mods today here at Limaland, showing the fans the classic cars that they may run here on a more regular basis in the future, putting on a good race. The E-Mods, one of those drivers is Carmela Shinkleton's son, and does a great job driving in the E-Mods. The Bombers, of course, were here, and they were still full of all kinds of action tonight. And the mini sprints also on the schedule. Feature winner again for the mini sprints was Paul Taschler in the 4 car. And the new ride for Frankie Lucchini, as we walk up to him, we let him know we're going to keep our eyes on you. The green flag comes out. Lucchini started on the pole. Good draw of the hill. And he moves into the lead on this feature event for the ECONO sprints in his debut race. As we've got trouble in the backstretch. Car spinning, and here comes Gus Wasson. There was a car upside down. Wasson cleared that accident. Frank Lucchini again back into the lead on the restart. Gus Watson is running in 4th spot. Moving up very quickly now, he's running in 3rd spot. And Lucchini had trouble in turn 3 and looped it out. He got tapped there by the car, and that damaged his front end, so bad break for Frank Lucchini on his opening debut night for the ECONO Sprint. He was a very unhappy driver. Gus Watson went on to take charge of the race. He moved into the lead and went on to pick up a feature victory for the ECONO Sprints again at Limaland. Gus Watson, the winner. As we move on, the Powder Puffs. And again, these girls are getting faster and faster every week. And it looks like we got some new competition now, some new blood. The checkered flag waves and another Powder Puff race. And look out, girls, slow down. Colleen Miller was our new winner tonight in the 28 car. Colleen very happy about her first big victory in the Powder Puff division. And now it's action highlights from August the 23rd at Limaland Speedway. Leading the feature vet Gus Wasson gets around into the lead. In 2nd spot, it's the 03 car of Tim Kearns. And Wasson loses a tire leading the race. You can see that tire in that box there. It flew off. Gus goes up, smacks the wall, and does a rollover on top of the fence. Your point leader, your top Econo Sprint driver here at Limaland, is out of the action now as he's dumped his car after losing that right rear tire in a spectacular flip that fortunately did no damage to Gus.
Ladies and gentlemen, always good.
The race is restarted, the track is cleared, and Gus Wasson will sit this one out.
Out of the car. Want to show your appreciation and
Here's the speed at the flip at full speed. You can see that tire fly off. Gus rolls over and really takes a fairly mild crash, but it does some damage to both ends of his Econo Sprint, and he's out of the feature event. The restart, back in action. Frank Lucchini spins, but keeps it going down the straightaway. I think maybe Frank's got to get used to that extra horsepower he's running versus the mini sprint. And the feature event went to Dave Rice, driving car number 63. Feature winner for the Econo Sprints here at Limaland Speedway was Dave Rice. Picking up on some more action now, it's the American Racing Association debut. August the 24th, 1991. The very first race ever for a new full-size sprint car sanctioning body, also sanctions late models. Earl Baldus has come up with this idea of a local sprint car group that will run for some lower purses and be able to fill in the gap we have when the All-Stars and the World Outlaw Boys are out traveling around the country. We need to have local support to keep the people interested in the sprint car racing and to have that young talent to be able to move into the ranks of the All-Stars. And some late model or bomber action here as they about took us out of the flag tower. Here's some more bomber action as we pick up on action at Limaland. United Racing Association's first sprint car winner was Mark Keegan. Used to be up from Clyde, Ohio. There he is with Dean Miracle, and you'll see Earl Barless comes down and moves in for the picture-taking ceremony. This is quite a moment, the first race ever for a new sanctioning group. The American Racing Association, the founder and chief principal behind it is Earl Baldus. As Earl poses with Mark and Dean, we move on with more racing action highlights from Limaland. The Econo Sprint Nationals, August the 31st, 30th and 31st actually, a two-day show. And this is where they bring out the best of all the Econo Sprint drivers. The 1991 Nationals, 37 Econo Sprints in the pits today for this two-day event. An event paying big money for the sprint cars. I think it's a $2,000 victory tomorrow night for the winner of the feature event, and that's big money for the Econo Sprints. Also on the bill will be the Bombers, and of course they always fill the night full of exciting racing action. The 11 car is Ace Underford, who's now subbing for his brother, and the 12 car it's Shane O'Connor, and Shane gets wrapped very hard, very heavy. Ace Underford does go on and picks up a victory in the Bomber Division, driving 11X car, and stops down to get a little picture taken here with Larry Reese. And now the Econo Sprint feature for the first night picks up the green flag. And again, we've got a full field of sprint cars tonight, so it's anybody's guess as to who's going to be the winner, although some of our top regular drivers are also here competing tonight, so it's bound to be an exciting night. We got a couple of them sideways and a few bangs as Bernie Wessler gets over a wheel there. And in defense, this guy decides he wants to run with the CRA. He took his swing off. The feature winner for day one of the Econo Nationals was Gus Wasson. It turned out no surprise as Gus proved he could outdo the entire field, even if there was 30 drivers instead of 20 to run against. Gus Wasson picks up a victory on the opening night of the 1991 Econo Nationals. bomber action on the second year of the Nationals proved to be extremely exciting. Now let's watch as these guys put on quite a show. That 7 car just couldn't keep away from that inside wall. Street stocks were also on the bill tonight, and there was some great racing going on there with veteran drivers. Art Ball in the 01 car, the 20 car driven by Chick Hale, the racing grandfather. Chick got to be in his 60s and still one of the top stock car boys in the world. Art Ball went on to pick up the feature victory in the stock car division. Limaland sprints now up on the course. 4 abreast start. What a spectacular start. The first annual 1991 ECONO Sprint Nationals. And we've got a lot of the top drivers in the ECONO Sprints from all over the area here tonight at Limaland Speedway as they're coming down ready to pick up that green flag and the start of this final feature event. On the pole, it's the 44 car Frank Luccini. Alongside him is Gus Wasson. You see the 7 car Rick Doherty moving up very fast from the back. Some great racing action tonight, and in the lead it's Gus Wasson in the 4G car. Luccini has dropped back into 3rd spot now. As Wasson continues to stretch out that lead. Gus Wasson. He's the man to beat at Limaland. In 2nd spot, there was John Hawk in the 31 car. Hawk is also one of the top drivers on this Limaland ECONO Sprint circuit. Rick Doherty running in 3rd spot. Rick's won his share of features this year. Also has proven to be hard to beat. But there's the white flag on Wasson as he's led the entire race and goes on and picks up a victory for the ECONO Sprint Nationals 1991. Wasson was the winner, followed by John Hawk, Rick Doherty, Tim Kern, Travis Miller, and Greg Wilson. We are now going to wrap up the 1991 racing season with a spectacular day race featuring some stock cars and some late models, some spectacular crashes as we end the 1991 season at Limaland Speedway. With this win, Wasson had wrapped up his championship for the 1991 ECONO Sprint Division here at Limaland Speedway. He had accumulated a point total that would not be able to be surpassed, with the remainder of the shows only being a couple races to go. Gus Wasson, not only the ECONO Nationals winner, but the 1991 ECONO Sprint Car champion. So yes, Roger McLean did pass his crown to the student, Gus Wasson, who has went on now to become the champion. The feature event for the Bombers on this night, it proved to be just as exciting as ever as Jerry Butler got sideways and gets racked by everybody in the race. And Butler, again, is leading the point race right now, so he doesn't need to get his car knocked out of the action. Wayne Moffat went on to pick up a feature victory, followed by John Flippo in the 52 car, as we cover the action for the Bombers on this, the night of the ECONO Nationals. A night full of a lot of action, and now we move on to the final race for the 1991 racing season at Limaland. ARA Late Models and Bomber. Jim Fleming, Glenn Bradley, Jim Cushing, Don Sieben, Curtis Roberts, King Gossard, Jerry Bowersock, just to name a few of the top late model drivers that came out to compete in this LRA racing event at Limaland. Bowersock driving the Novelty number 77 car. And the Bombers were also on hand as John Flippo, 52, along with Shane O'Connor, and there's the 44 car wrapping the fence. During the heat race action, it seemed like everybody on the track was out to get Shane. They kept pounding into him. Lap after lap, every car was running into Shane O'Connor, and he was getting a little bit upset. As Shane pulls in the pits to have the spare parts pulled loose from his car, he was really showing his anger. They had to hold him back. But his dad, Don O'Connor, well, to say the least, he was upset. He was just plain pissed off. Now, he wouldn't let his car go back out. He said, let's put some more dents in the damn thing. You didn't have to beat them up that way at Limaland this day. The Bombers were having no trouble destroying themselves by themselves. Mark Herring loses a tire, and over he goes. And in a replay, you can see that tire fly off, and Herring does a rollover in turn 2. And he was so upset when that rollover didn't get hurt, he decided he wanted to hurt his car even more. So as he got out, he starts manhandling the car and rips off the roof. And jumps on it. A standing ovation for Mark Aaron. His car was tore up, but now he's going to come back out and run it again in the C main. He has the hood off, he has the trunk off, he has the roof off, and he is about to have the most spectacular bomber crash we've ever seen. Down the backstretch, Herring goes. He's got her sideways in turn 3, and look out, here he goes. A spectacular rollover for Mark Herring in slow motion. You can see how this car just got sideways, dug in the dirt, and Mark Herring takes the ride of the year at Limaland Speedway in a bomber and gets out and walks away. As wild as that crash was, it wasn't the only crash of the day. The Bombers proved to be the exciting thing to watch this day at Limaland Speedway. Let's look at some more Bomber action as we watch this replay one more time in full speed. Oh, what a way to get a headache. Picking up on some more Bomber action, you can see the car sideways in turn 2. They're bumper to bumper and they're teeter-tottering on each other's roofs down there in turn 2. Into the straightaway wall. Again, with all this action, fortunately, there were nobody seriously injured in Limaland. The late model feature was an exciting and dusty one as it was looping around doing 360s down the straightaway. A great feature that went to the winner, Don Seaborn. 3 times he's been to Limaland, and 3 times he's come home the winner. Don Seaborn from Dayton, Ohio. Here's the standings for 1991. Your Bomber champion was Jerry Butler. Second was Randy Herring, followed by Gary Hayden, John Flippo, and Larry Gross. A combination Limaland and Eldora points to determine the championship. And in the mini sprint division, it was again this year Tim Allison, 2 years in a row. He's the champion, followed by Tracy Hover, Jerry Embody, Kevin Breidenbach. Again, Limaland Eldora points. And of course, the ECONO sprint champion for Limaland Motor Speedway was none other than the student, Gus Wasson. Gus did a fantastic job, finishing ahead of Rick Doherty, Barney Wessler, Tim Kearns, Travis Miller. Limaland Eldora ECONO champion for 1991 is Gus Wasson.